In this video, I cover what pre-med does and doesn't mean, the best practices for applying to pre-med, what pre-med means or maybe doesn't mean for your college list and college search. I discuss how many pre-med freshmen become physicians, and I conclude with a critical take on these combined Bachelor's of Science and Medical Degree programs, the BSMD. My overall argument is that any student from any major at any regionally accredited university can potentially gain admission to any medical school in the country. What you do after arriving on campus matters much more than where you earn your bachelor's degree. Pre-med considerations should play little to no role in your college search and enrollment decision. One FAQ I receive is how to apply for pre-med. There are many misconceptions about what applying to and pursuing pre-med or other health professions means or doesn't mean. Since almost anyone interested in health professions inquires about pre-med and not some other medical career, for the most part, this video focuses only on pre-med rather than the many other options like pre-dental, pre-pharmacy, pre-physical therapy, and so on. Applying to medical school as a current university student or as a recent graduate is also beyond the scope of this video, and medical school admissions is outside of my professional experience, since I work primarily with undergraduates. First, in this video, I clarify a few points about what pre-med does and does not mean. Pre-med is not a major, and you cannot earn a degree in pre-med. Pre-med at UT is actually housed in the Health Professions Office, which encompasses all of those pre-professional programs like medical, physician's assistant, ophthalmology, and so on. All students in the United States must earn a bachelor's degree before they can apply for and enroll in medical school. Any UT student and any major can pursue pre-med. That also means you do not need to major in the natural sciences or any sciences for that matter to pursue pre-med. Any student from any major can attend post-undergraduate school in the health professions if they meet the prerequisite courses. And these are courses that are open to students from all majors. On the Common App, checking I am interested in pre-med or other health professions doesn't make any admissions difference. Depending on your particular major choice, you will be compared against other applicants to your first choice major or your college and school, and not against other like pre-med students. You can address pre-med or a future health career in your application essays, but again, you're arguing for a position in your preferred first choice major and not pre-med. You can receive your undergraduate degree from any university and potentially be competitive for any medical school. You also do not need to apply to and enroll at medical school immediately following your bachelor's degree. Many prospective physicians and surgeons will take time off to do research, intern, volunteer, study abroad, or travel. You can earn a bachelor's degree and complete most or all health professions prerequisites later at a community college or even as a non-degree earning student, although this may depend on your specific health profession and the previous degree that you've earned. Next, I discuss what applying to and pursuing pre-med means. Let's zoom out a little bit. The United States is almost exclusively unique in that they require prospective health profession students to earn a bachelor's degree before they can enroll in medical studies. Nearly every other country in the world allows direct entry into medical, dental, or veterinary programs immediately after completing secondary school. Most of these programs take 6 or 7 years to complete, and even for example in Australia, the same principle applies to law school, where Australians can earn their degree and begin practicing law at the age of 22. Consequently, families who receive their higher education outside the United States often lament that the student must earn a 4-year degree before pursuing additional postgraduate studies. And that frustrates some students who feel bewildered that they must earn a degree before entering medical school. My best advice for students who think they want to attend medical school is to select a major that they feel that they will enjoy pursuing over the next 4 to 5 years. The most common misconception about applying for pre-med is that you must pursue a science major, but you don't. If you want to earn a degree in biology or biochemistry or public health, that's great, but this isn't necessary for medical school eligibility. Every year, UT students from all majors apply to and enroll in medical school And this includes English or sociology, social work, engineering, business. There's even some economics or classics majors, computer science students, or dance majors. Around 60% of medical school enrollees do major in the biological sciences, but that means by definition, over a third do not. Third, how should you approach pre-med as a high school senior? Prospective pre-med students' most common mistake is they substantially overweight pre-med in their college search. They or their parents ask me questions like, which university is best for pre-med? Or is UT good for pre-med? So to reiterate the arguments that I made at the start of and throughout this video, any student from any major at any undergraduate university can gain admission to and enroll at any medical school. Of course, this assumes that they have a strong enough GPA, resume, and MCAT score. All that pre-med means is that you have access to advising and other application resources. Essentially, all universities will have some pre-med or health professions advising. Perhaps they have MCAT preparation, or maybe even application or resume coaching. But you can also apply to medical school without having ever interacted with health professionals or pre-med advising. So even if for some reason your current university doesn't have pre-med advising, this honestly isn't a very big deal. Families also attach themselves to this medical school matriculation statistic, which means the number of applicants from that university who gained admission to at least one medical program. For example, UT Austin's matriculation rate is around 45%, so about half of UT graduates who want to go to medical school are admitted. And this rate is similar at most Texas public universities like A&M or UT Dallas, University of Houston, and some of them even have higher medical school matriculation rates than UT Austin. The nationwide medical school admissions rate is around 35%. So it is true that some undergraduate programs have higher entry to medical school, but that statistic in itself indicates little. It's also deceiving because some universities will exclude applicants with lower grades from their data entirely, so there's some cooking that goes on before those statistics are published. Medical school applicants are also a self-selecting pool, and that the application pool is largely composed of applicants who will already be competitive. That means people who have a 2.5 college GPA or who bombed the MCAT rarely even bother applying to medical schools at all. Whereas, for example, like Princeton or Stanford, they will receive thousands of undergraduate applications every year from students who have lower than a 1200 SAT or like lower than a high school GPA of a 3.0, who basically have zero chance of getting in. But that means the med school admissions rate is almost an entirely meaningless statistic. All things equal, medical schools will always prefer a 4.0 student from UT Dallas than a 3.0 applicant from Harvard or Stanford. Look, you should have medical school options as long as you earn a 3.7 college GPA or higher, or if you score in the top quartile in the MCAT, which is around a 500 or higher, and also pursuing some science interest outside of the classroom, like in extracurriculars, volunteering, or research. One way that pre-med can influence the college search is access to those undergraduate research opportunities. UT Austin is great in that they prioritize connecting undergraduates with research opportunities with programs like the Freshman Research Initiative. UT's proximity to a medical school like Austin's Dell Medical Center or UT Southwestern in Dallas might also allow more convenient shadowing or internship opportunities during the school year for those universities that are close to a medical school campus. So those opportunities may not be as readily available in rural or regional universities or as small liberal arts colleges. So what that means for you as a family, the college you choose and its resources and opportunities will have indirect consequences for your potential medical studies, but the university's reputation rankings in and of themselves won't help your chances. Medical school chances matter almost exclusively on what you do after arriving on your college campus and how you utilize the STEM resources in your environment rather than which university you attend. As I mentioned at the start of this video, pre-med should play little or no role in your college search or eventual enrollment decision. Next, let's talk about undergraduate scholarships and medical school debt. Since any student from any major receiving their bachelor's degree from any accredited undergraduate program can compete for spots in any medical school, minimizing your debt load is essential. Popular private universities like USC, NYU, or Stanford and others can cost upwards of $320,000 to $350,000 for a 4-year undergraduate degree. So let's consider the total cost of attendance for an undergraduate degree at the University of California, Berkeley. The annual cost for a non-California resident at Berkeley is like $70,000 to $75,000 a year, or around $300,000 for a 4-year degree. Contrast this cost with the 4-year cost of a UT Austin education, which is around $120,000, or even A&M and UT Dallas before scholarships is about $125,000. So if you're a high-achieving student receiving merit scholarships to the University of Houston, Texas Tech, UTD, or other public universities, you might end up paying $75,000 or much less for a 4-year degree from a public school. Many mid-tier schools, irrespective of residency, also offer full rides for National Merit Finalists or big scholarships for semifinalists. So that means I'm not really a big fan of Texas families going out of state because we do have high-quality public options at less than half the price of private or out-of-state public equivalent schools. Let's look at UT Southwestern as an example of one of the country's more affordable and high-quality medical schools. The net price is around $240,000 for a 4-year medical degree. Their financial aid page has a helpful breakdown of the average debt of UT Southwestern, public university equivalents, and also private universities. And unsurprisingly, private medical schools also tend to be substantially more expensive, just like their bachelor's counterparts. However, you might maybe be able to justify the added value for getting residency or specialist placements by attending a more prestigious medical school. Harvard Medical School and other private medical schools may cost upwards of $400,000 for your MD. MD holders regularly finish their degrees with $250,000 in student loan debt or more, which includes the debt that's accrued during their undergraduate studies. So if you're going to spend $500,000 on your education, consider saving money in your bachelor's degree and allocate those savings for eventual medical school enrollment. Minimizing your debt for your undergraduate degree will free up finances for future medical school or other health professions graduate studies. A UT Austin or Texas A&M bachelor's plus a public university medical school costs similarly to just a single 4-year bachelor's degree at Berkeley, USC, Stanford, and so on. Attending private universities for your bachelor's degree and medical school together might cost upwards of $700,000 to $800,000, which is like a mind-boggling sum of money, even for physicians with future high earning potential. Unless your family has literally millions of dollars, or maybe you're an only child, attending a Texas public university provides the most financially prudent pathway for most families most of the time. Medical school also has a built-in opportunity cost, since you lose high earning potential during your 4 years of medical school, your 2 or more years of residency, and any specialties you pursue throughout your 20s and into your 30s. You may not even begin earning adequate salaries until your mid-30s. So all things equal, computer scientists and engineers have 8 or 10 more years of earning potential relative to many physicians. So those STEM degree holders might justify going to an elite or private university for their bachelor's degree. When cost-conscious prospective pre-med families email me, and when they have pricey out-of-state public universities that don't offer merit aid or discounts for non-residents, I strongly caution them against even applying for these schools. Gaining admission to schools that you cannot afford, or that are imprudent to enroll, fuels this fear of missing out, but it also sometimes nudges families towards irrational decisions. As I discuss in other videos, there are real downsides to applying just to see if I can get in somewhere. Another reason you should not wait pre-med in your college search and eventual enrollment is that most pre-med college students don't even attend medical school, let alone become a doctor. It's hard to find precise data, but around 15%, 1/5, of declared pre-med freshman students eventually attend medical school. But some of them will drop out of medical school and not become doctors, and others won't receive a residency placement or even complete their residencies. So it's safe to say that less than, say, 1 in 10 prospective pre-meds that are watching this video will actually become physicians. Some college students receive a reality check when they bomb biology during their freshman year or organic chemistry during their sophomore year. Others also lose interest in the sciences, or they realize that their high school experiences and expectations don't align with their college journey. These students also sometimes quietly acknowledge that family or societal pressures to become a doctor just don't match their aptitudes and interests. Reasons like doing medicine for the money or to make a difference usually are not sufficient motivators to clear all of the hurdles that medical careers entail. Having below a 3.5 university GPA is also almost an automatic disqualifier, as is underperforming on the MCAT. Others might pursue related health professions like physical therapy or physician's assistants that allow you to begin work much sooner in your medical career. That's why my advice to pursue the major program where you can realistically see yourself enjoying over the next 5 years is substantially more relevant than whether you think that you might become a doctor or some other health professional 5 or 10 years in the future. Look, if you want to attend medical school, these opportunities will shake themselves out following your sophomore or junior year of university. It's just not particularly relevant as a high school senior or in your college search, except to minimize those student loans and debt. I want to share a final thought and also a criticism about these combined BSMD 8-year medical programs. Although UT Austin doesn't currently have a combined program, they have in the past for a few years in the early 2010s, and they also might in the future. I want to say up front, I am not a fan of these programs. These programs go by different names, but they essentially allow students to complete their bachelor's degree with a direct entry into their medical program, but it still depends on the college GPA and the MCAT. But they have this option as a high school senior applicant. Some schools like Texas A&M offer medical school assurances or provisional admissions after the freshman year of college, but I won't cover those here. UT Austin experimented with this setup in the mid 2010s before they discontinued the program for unspecified reasons. Rice University in Houston also had a combined program for 3 decades, but they seem to have discontinued it as of 2022. Rice's old program also only enrolled 3 or 4 freshmen total each year. Texas Tech and Baylor still offer combined programs, and a recent Prep Scholar blog post suggests that there are more than 50 of these programs nationwide. However, I need to stress that almost all of these programs are extraordinarily, unimaginably competitive. Some of them at less selective schools like Texas Tech and Baylor still only enroll fewer than 10 applicants among the potentially hundreds or even low thousands who might apply. Other universities like Drexel or the University of Missouri at Kansas City are larger and they have slightly higher admissions rates. But you should assume every BSMD or combined medical program has an admissions rate of lower than 10% and sometimes even lower than 1%. That makes them the single most competitive programs of any kind in the nation. This is more selective than the University of Pennsylvania Wharton's Huntsman Scholars, MIT Computer Science, or UT Austin's Computer Science and Business CSB Honors Program. Nevertheless, competitive applicants to BSMD programs would also be competitive for UT's extraordinarily competitive Dean Scholars or Health Science Scholars Honors programs. BSMD applicants routinely gain admission to top 20 universities like the Ivies, Stanford, Johns Hopkins, MIT, and so on. That means unless you have literally flawless academics, a literally 1550 plus or perfect SAT score, and have stellar national or international level STEM and health accomplishments on your resume, I would honestly bother not even applying. This might come off as not tactful, but if you have to ask whether you're competitive for BSMD, you're probably not. These applications are also extremely time consuming. Some require up to 10 additional essays. So unless you have extensive relevant experience, you might even struggle to come up with the essay content for those applications. I assist 1 or 2 BSMD students each year, and I only work with them at my highest all-inclusive package, because the approach for them is to apply between like 8 or maybe 15 of these programs, put your best effort in, and cross your fingers that you might gain admission to a single program. I have had a few students gain admission to them over the years, but I've only ever had one that's actually enrolled, and that was at Rice's old program. And that enrollee, for reference, was admitted to UT Honors Health Science Scholars, and they also received a regular decision admissions offer for Harvard for context. So they were like one of my top 3 or 4 clients of all time. The BSMD bargain seems like a bad deal in almost all situations. A few of these programs offer funding, and the only upside it seems is a provisional offer to medical school, often contingent on already maintaining a strong GPA and sometimes even scoring well on the MCAT. So it's like a sort of but not really receive a medical school admissions guarantee after a highly rigorous application process as a high school senior, only to then lock yourself into an institution, a geography, and a professional pathway for 7 or 8 years. So it's like, how can you be sure that you want to live in Lubbock or Waco until your mid-20s? These programs trade on the insecurity, uncertainty, and doubt that families experience about the medium-term future by locking you into a pathway that might seem appealing at age 17, but might not match your interests and ambitions when you're 22, 20, 24 years old. Relative to their tiny number of enrollment spaces compared with the thousands of applicants who attempt to gain admission, I argue that the mere existence of these programs causes more collective anxiety and harm to students, families, and high schools than whatever healthcare benefits that they might provide to society. The universities themselves benefit by attracting a few extremely qualified students to campus and putting those butts in medical school seats. But I'm unsure precisely what substantive benefits students and families receive. Given also that few pre-med freshmen actually become doctors, you're committing to a pathway that has a high probability of changing or pivoting. Unless the program is partially or fully funded, and again, these are exceedingly rare, BSMD programs seem to have little upside and very high downside. So you're honestly better taking the standard pathway of getting your bachelor's degree, taking the MCAT, and applying to medical school your senior year or after you graduate, and then enrolling in the typical way. Look, I have no doubt that some students enroll at and even thrive in these programs and become world class physicians, surgeons, specialists, and so on. I just don't think it's the right fit for 99% of applicants most of the time. I hope you've enjoyed my perspectives on pre-med and how it might shape your college search and enrollment. The easiest way to reach me is by email at kevin@texadmissions.com and to complete the questionnaire in the information section of this video for a free email admissions consultation. Thanks, and I hope you have a great day.